The $1 million question today is which Brett will make you the most money in this upcoming bull run? Is it the Brett on ETH or will it be the Brett on base? So stick around to the end of this video and I'll share with you my thoughts on which Brett I think will make you the most money. So if you're not familiar with who Brett is, let's go back a little bit. And this character here, everybody knows him or would recognize him as Pepe the Frog. And he is actually the chosen one for this upcoming bull run to be the meme coin that leads all meme coins into this meme coin super cycle. And so he was a character that was created by Matt Fury. And, Pepe, he doesn't roll solo. So he also has a group of friends. And collectively, him and his group of friends forms a very popular group or club called the Boys Club. And that's really kickstarting what we have one of the most popular narratives for this bull run, which is the PepeVerse. But as you can see in this picture here, Pepe doesn't look like the most happy camper. Well, in fact, he is pretty sad right now and he has a bunch of tears flowing down his face because he's having trouble figuring out which Brett, whether it's the Brett on ETH or the Brett on base, that will help you make the most money. So that's why we're going to jump in here and solve this problem for him. So we're going to look at several variables when it comes to comparing the two Bretts. So right now, there's more than the two Bretts that you see in front of you here. But at this particular point in time, the Brett on ETH and the Brett on base are, in my opinion, are the two most prominent ones. And of course, if in the future any of this changes, then I'll be creating a video with the updated information as well. So just to keep things very, very simple when it comes to what variables we're going to consider as we compare these two Bretts. I listed 5 different variables here. So what we'll be doing is having a look at the websites for both Bretts, also talking about the market cap and how that will impact someone's decision to get involved in the project. And also we'll have a look at their socials, more particularly their X account, to see how the engagement is on their specific X accounts. And moving on to the 4th variable, which are the sexes. So we'll have a deep dive into what particular sexes both of those Bretts are currently listed on. And I think the last one is probably one of the biggest differential factors when it comes to the Brett on ETH and the Brett on base is the narrative. So I'll save this to the very end, but this is the one that I would think, in my opinion, is probably the biggest key driver that has the largest impact in terms of how a person would choose between putting their hard-earned money into whether it's Brett on ETH or Brett on base. So let's go through each one right now. So we'll start off by looking at the website for Brett on ETH. So just glancing at it right now, the website looks very, very simply laid out. By that, what I mean is you have Brett here on the right side, and then on the left side, you pretty much have all these icons here where you could find either more info on Brett, such as through Dex Tools, for example, or you could follow their socials on X. They also have, you can find more information on them through Dex Screener as well. And also they have icons listing some of the exchanges that they're on, such as, Bioeconomy and also DigiFinex. So of course, we'll talk a little bit more about that when we dive into the sexes that the Brett on ETH is found on. So let's scroll down a little bit here and we'll have a look at the about section for Brett. So, I'll just read the middle section here. This seems to be an important section. With Brett, it's not just about the coin, it's about the community driving its growth and direction. There are no pre-sales, no hidden taxes, just a pure decentralized movement fueled by the passion of its members. Liquidity pool burnt and contract renounced. Brett is a beacon of transparency and trust. So I think this is absolutely huge here, what they had mentioned in the about section, more particular in this middle paragraph, is that, it's a community-driven token, which is absolutely huge. And also, they stand for, some very core principles that are very important, especially when it comes to building a strong community in crypto, which is based on transparency and trust. So I really like that about this particular Brett on ETH. And if we continue to scroll down a little bit more, this tells you how to buy it. So this is through Uniswap here. So you would just create a wallet, for example, MetaMask. It could be a Phantom wallet, put some ETH in it, and then do the swap for the Brett on ETH. So that's pretty straightforward. They have a roadmap: phase 1 memes, phase 2 vibe and hodl, and then their last phase is the takeover. So overall, I really like this website. It's really simple, and you just have to put yourself in the shoes of somebody who has very limited knowledge when it comes to understanding crypto, especially in this upcoming bull run when there will be a lot of retail people entering the space. They just need to be able to come in here, have a look at it really quickly, and understand what's all about quickly as well. So I would give this a high grade in my opinion. So if we go back to our chart here, the website, I would definitely give it a check mark. It was very simply laid out, and it just makes sense for people of all types of knowledge to understand what Brett is all about. So now let's move over to the website for Brett on Base. And just having a quick look at it, it's definitely one that catches your attention right away, especially when you see Brett licking the screen like what he's doing right here. So it's definitely an eye catcher. And so it introduces Brett right away, saying that Brett is Pepe's best friend on Base. And also here seems to be the motto for this particular Brett, which says that one of crypto's most significant cultural icons and the mascot of the Base chain. So it makes it very clear right here, who Brett is, being Pepe's best friend, and also drawing the direct association to becoming a cultural icon, and more importantly, being the mascot of the Base chain. So let's continue on here, and we can see that the Brett on Base is found on a ton of different exchanges right now, which is really, really awesome. It makes it easy for people to buy the token. And here's a section that describes who Brett is. So Brett is the legendary character from Matt Fury's Boys Club or Boys Club comic. He's also a dancer and loves video games. Now he's living on the Base blockchain as a fan tribute. He has become blue mascot of the blue chain Base. So that's really a neat description of Brett, and we'll scroll down. They have how their tokenomics are divided here with their LPs, treasury, and sex wallet, for example. And they also play some utilities such as strong partnerships, growing ecosystem, and strong community support. So overall, I would give this one, if I were to look at the two, I think this one is just a little bit more eye-catchy. Simply because it has this Brett doing what it does to the screen. It also explains what Brett or who Brett is, and it draws a direct association to the Base chain as well in terms of what's the intention of this particular Brett, which is to become a significant culture icon and also the mascot of Base. So if we were to come back and have a look at the two, I would say that this particular Brett probably has a little bit of a better website, simply because how the design and everything is laid out. But the one thing that I would say is they have two different mission statements. For example, if we go back to the Brett on Base, you could see that its main purpose is to become a cultural icon and the mascot of the Base chain. Whereas if you go to the Brett on ETH, for example, and you go to the About section, we had talked about this, is that it's more about the community and also to become or to be a beacon of transparency and trust. So I guess when you're looking to choose between these two based on what the different Bretts stand for, do you choose based on your core values of transparency and trust, and maybe you're more into the community aspect of things, or are you more into the blockchain side of things and also a bigger fan of culture? Maybe if you are, then this particular Brett on Base would be more for your liking. So the next variable that we'll look at is the market cap for both Bretts. So for this, we'll go to Deck Screener and Dex Tools. So the first one is the Brett on ETH, and right now we could see it. It's sitting at 30.6 million. So just to make it simple math, we'll round it to 30 million. And we want to know, is it considered a micro cap, a small cap, a medium cap, for example? And I created some tiering right here. So as you can see, starting from the bottom, a large cap is any crypto project that is 10 billion or more. A mid cap is 1 billion to 10 billion. Small cap is 300 million to 1 billion. And a crypto project that is considered to be a micro cap would be less than having a market cap of less than 300 million. So since the market cap of Brett on ETH is 30 million, we could say that it falls under the micro cap category. So if we go back to our list here, we could start filling this in. It's at 30 million, which makes it micro cap. So usually the market cap has a big impact in terms of how people make decisions. So we'll see, this will obviously factor in if there's a huge difference between the Brett on ETH and the Brett on Base. So let's jump over to Dex Tools. And we could see that the market cap for the Brett on Base is, 793 million. So we'll just make it simple again, round it up to 800 million. And if we look at our tiering right here, we could see that would fall under the category of a small cap crypto. So let's go in and fill that for the Brett on Base. And we said that we'll round it up to 800 million, and it's considered a small cap. So when you compare the market cap of the two Bretts, the market cap of the Brett on Base is definitely a lot larger than the one that's the Brett on ETH. So the market cap of the Brett on Base being 800 million is roughly in the neighborhood of about 25 times larger than the market cap of the Brett on ETH. So if I were to give the cake on this one, I would definitely have to hand it over to the Brett on ETH, simply because his market cap is only 30 million at this particular moment, which is a lot smaller than the market cap of the Brett on Base. So the winner for the market cap category definitely goes to the Brett on ETH. So let's go ahead and give it its check mark right here. And for Brett on ETH, I actually got in when the market cap was only $2 million. And my initial entry happened in late June. So if we look at the graph right here, and let's go find, the second half of June. So it'd be roughly around here, about June 26th, 27th. It was when I made my first buy. And you can see roughly that was about $2 million market cap. And since then, it's done about 15x if you compare it to today's market cap of 30 million. And when it reaches all-time highs of 50 million, then that initial entry at a $2 million market cap is a 25x from there. So if you're interested, I also have Discord, which you could access through WAP. So right now, I also have a special promotion going on where you get 30 days for free to check out the entire Discord server, but it's only open to the first 100 people that join. And then after the 30 days, it's only $9.99 forever for those first people who access those spots. So after the 100 spots fill up, then you could bet that the prices will be going up, especially as this bull run begins to heat up. So what I'll do is I'll drop the link in the description below, and I would love to have you join my Discord server. And some of the cool perks that you'll get is 1, early access to new micro cap gems, 2, my buy sell alerts, and 3, my watch list, which right now includes quite an extensive list of potential gems that I think that could do 100x to 1000x in this upcoming bull run. So just those 3 things alone is definitely worth signing up and having a look for, especially when you get a 30-day free trial as well. And then after that, it's less than $10 a month. So it's an incredible alpha in there, and look forward to having you join our growing community. And once again, the link is in this description below. So let's go ahead now and look at the third category, which is their socials, more particularly the X account. So what we'll do right now is we'll jump over to the X account for the Brett on ETH, and what we're going to be looking for is pretty much two things: is how often do they post, and secondly is what is their engagement like. So what we'll do is we'll start off, and we notice that they have quite a strong following here at close to 7,000 followers. And when I first started following them back in the summertime, so when I did my initial buy-in back in June, there were just under 1,000 followers. So they pretty much grown 7 times over the last couple months, which is a really, really strong sign. I really like to see that type of growth. So if we continue to look at how often they post or repost here, we can see it's quite often. So 11 hours, November 1st, November 2nd, November 3rd, the 2nd, the 1st. So it looks like they post quite consistently. And just looking at their engagements, they have some pretty decent views, 7,000 views, which is pretty high, 3,000, over 100 likes, over 50 reposts, over 20 comments for that post. So I would say that their engagement is pretty decent. And I think they'll continue to grow as well. So let's hop over to the X page for the Brett on base. So we can notice right off the bat that their following count is significantly higher at 118,000. So let's see if their engagement reflects that as well. So you get to see this is their pin post. It was created on March 27th, has over close to 2 million views. So tons of engagement. But let's have a look at more recently, where they posted 5 hours ago, close to 10,000 views, close to 600 likes, 135 reposts, and close to 60 comments. So just by looking at their engagement, it looks pretty good, 10,000 views and so forth. And they're also posting quite regularly as well. So if we were to look at the criteria of the socials or the X accounts, I say both of them are really doing well. So obviously the X account for the Brett on base is significantly larger. It does get some good engagement. We could say the same thing about the X account or the X page for the Brett on ETH. The good thing is it's continually growing. As I mentioned, when I first joined, there was only about 1,000 followers, and now it's close to 7,000. So when it comes to this category of their X account and their socials, I would say that they should both get the check mark for this, since it seems like they're both doing a good job in terms of continuing to grow their social presence. So now let's have a look at the fourth category, which are the sexes, or which exchanges the Bretts are found on. So the best way to do this is we'll head over to CoinMarketCap, and we'll go to the market section right here. And this is the CoinMarketCap page for the Brett on ETH. And what I like to do is actually categorize it in terms of the central exchanges or the DEXs. And right now you can see that the tab is on all. So what we'll do is we'll filter to the sexes, and we can see right now for the sexes that the Brett on ETH is found on. So they're currently found on 4 sexes. So yeah, Bitmart, Bioconomy, DigiFinex, and Mexi. And I believe Mexi is one that's most recent. It's one that I believe Brett on ETH has got listed sometime this week. So it looks like they're making tremendous grounds moving forward in terms of getting sex listings. And if you prefer to buy the token on a DEX, for example, then you could do so through Uniswap. So overall, their number of sex listings is growing. So that's a nice direction that you want to see a project trend in. So now let's move over to the Brett on base, right? So we'll do the same thing, as we'll filter it based on the central exchanges that's found on. And you can just see right off the bat that the Brett on base is found on a lot more central exchanges. There are some overlapping ones like Bitmart, for example. They also have HTX, Bybit, Lbank, and the list goes on. XT.com. Both of them are found on DigiFinex, also Bioconomy. But just by looking at it, the both of them are not really listed on tier one exchanges. And some examples of tier one exchanges are, crypto.com, Binance, Kraken, for example, Uphold. You could consider that as a tier one. Just by looking at it, of course, there's several other tier ones as well, but I just wanted to mention a couple of those just so that you have an idea. But just by looking at the list here, I don't see really any of those tier ones listed here. So the closest that you would have is maybe like a Bybit. That would be considered, in my opinion, a cross between a tier one and a tier two type of exchange. So in terms of the overall sheer volume or number of exchanges, Brett on Base definitely has more SEX listings than the one on ETH. So, but however, both of them are lacking tier one exchanges. So it'd be nice to see tier one exchanges for both of these Bretts. So if we go back to our criteria here when it comes to SEX listings, just simply by the number of SEXs that the Brett on Base is found on, I would have to say that the Brett on Base wins in this category when it comes to SEXs. But of course, all that could change, the moment that one of these or maybe both of them get tier one exchanges. But at this particular point in time, the Brett on Base definitely has more SEXs and wins in that category. And the last category here we're going to talk about is narrative. So as you can see, I put it in red. And the reason why I did that is I think that this is the most important factor when it comes to influencing a person's decision, whether they are going to invest in the Brett on ETH or the Brett on Base. And more recently, we have seen the heated discussion come up of whether CTO or community takeover coins are better than cabal run projects. So once again, the main narrative here is CTO projects versus cabal controlled projects, and we've seen it where it's pretty much created an awakening that has caused a shift in the crypto sentiment and the crypto market in general, where a lot of people now are becoming aware that the projects that are controlled by quote unquote labeled as the cabal, there's a huge distribution asymmetrical allocation when it comes to how the tokenomics is. So basically what that translates to is that you have a large amount of of the token allocation given to a small amount of people. So one of the fears that happens because of that is if there's a large percentage of supply that's owned by a small amount of people, there's always a potential that the person could get dumped on, right? So as an investor, that's something that an investor would never want to put themselves in that position. So a lot of the attention now is moving over to CTO type projects. And if we were to look at the two right now and apply that to the two Bretts here, we clearly see that the Brett on ETH is a CTO project. You just go to their website, for example, just the way that they're communicating their core values through being community driven and also being a beacon of transparency and trust. We could go back here and label the narratives in terms of the Brett on ETH as a CTO type of project. Whereas, the common knowledge right now is the Brett on Base is considered a cabal type run project. So, this doesn't mean that all cabal type projects are bad, and it doesn't mean that all CTO run projects are good as well. When it comes to cabal type projects, you have to consider, even though the supply distribution is unequal or highly unequal, how are they utilizing those resources? Are they utilizing it towards marketing, paying other influencers, or establishing other partnerships to grow the brand, for example? And what are their intentions? Like, just because they own a large supply of, or a large amount of the supply, does it mean that they're going to dump it all at one time? And also for CTOs as well, like just because it's a CTO, is it a good thing all the time as well? So, it matters on, I guess, who's running the projects and their intentions. So that's one of the shifts that's happening when it comes to the crypto market, is this awareness of CTO projects versus Cabal type projects. And also one of the biggest impact that we saw is how tier one listings view CTO projects versus Cabal type projects as well. And what happened with Nero, for example, was the Binance listing that had happened. And originally there was two Nero projects. One was the CTO project and one was the Nero ETH. You can kind of categorize both of them by those two labels here. So the Cabal type, which is the Nero ETH, the Cabal project was actually on the Binance feature. So usually that's a step before when it becomes a spot listing. But in a surprising twist of fate, Binance ended up listing the first Nero on Ethereum, which was the Nero CTO. And you can see by the article right here, it was listed on September 15th of this year. And what it did to this Nero CTO, when you look at the graph, you see that the day that Binance listed, which was on the 15th, the following day, it just like shot up big time. So before, it was sitting at roughly, at like about 10-50 million market cap. And the day that it was listed, for example, you could see how parabolic it went. Did over a 10x during that time. And then during its all-time high, it reached up to almost $1 billion. So if you had bought in before the Binance listing, you would have made, let's actually graph this out here. So close to 70x at its all-time high. So now we could understand that there is a correlation between how the crypto audience perceives CTO type projects versus Cabal projects. And now at the highest level with large tier one exchanges, they're also considering, how that impacts what coins they choose to list on their exchange as well. So in this case, the narrative of CTO, in my opinion, is the one that is most favorable for investors. So what I'll do is I'll give Brett ETH the check mark here. So it'll be interesting to see how this narrative of CTO versus Cabal is going to play out, especially when it comes to how tier ones will list projects in the future. So just going off by what happened with Nero and Binance choosing to list the Nero CTO version, is it possible that when you look at these two here, between Brett on ETH and Brett on Base, is it possible that tier one exchanges now start favoring listing CTO type of projects? So in that case, then obviously the Brett on ETH would definitely have an advantage if the same history plays out that had happened with Nero. So once again, it's a positive sign for the Brett on ETH, but only time will tell to see, which tier ones will list which Brett moving into the future. But certainly a positive sign in the right direction that, one of the top exchanges, if not the top exchange, Binance, chose to list the CTO version of Nero. So we'll see moving forward. So which Brett then is the real winner? And in order to answer that question, the Brett that wins needs to be able to make you the most money. So the best way to answer that is to say, today, if you had money and you're deciding whether to put into Brett in ETH or the Brett on Base, which one would give you the greatest ROI heading into this bull run? So let's first consider the Brett on ETH. So right now, the current market cap is 30 million, right? So if we're aiming for 100x, that would put the Brett on ETH at a $3 billion market cap, right? So is it possible that projects reach a $3 billion market cap, especially one that is in a very, very strong narrative, which is the PepeVerse, and also belongs to meme coins? So when you look at the likelihood of this happening, I would say that it is very probable that the Brett on ETH could reach a market cap of $3 billion. So the chances of doing 100x is very probable in my opinion. So when we compare that same line of thinking to the Brett on Base, right now we had determined that the market cap is currently at 800 million. So if the Brett on Base was gonna do 100x from here, that would put the current market cap or move it all the way to an $80 billion market cap. Now, that's quite huge. Just to give you an idea, Dogecoin ran up to about 90 billion in the last cycle, and SHIB did around 40 billion. So this would mean that Brett would have to do what Dogecoin did last cycle, which I'm not saying is not possible, but running up to an $80 billion market cap is going to be really, really hard. And that all depends on what Pepe does. So obviously if Brett does an 80 billion, then Pepe is probably doing 100 billion or more, right? So, once again, during the bull market, anything could happen. But in terms of the likelihood of it reaching an 80 billion, I would say that it's more of a difficult route to get there when you compare it to the path that the Brett on ETH needs to take, going from a $30 million market cap to a 3 billion versus the Brett on base, starting at 800 million and having to reach an 80 billion market cap in order to do 100x. So if we were to go back and have a look to see and compare the two, for example, just quite quickly, you could have a look that both of them win in terms of the category website. Market cap goes to Brett on ETH, because obviously the smaller market cap. Both are really killing it and crushing it when it comes to their socials. So they both get the check mark there. When it comes to the sexes, the Brett on base wins. And probably the biggest differential factor here is the narrative. And in this case, the Brett on ETH is a CTO, and it gets the check mark here. So when you can look at all these variables, for example, and there's obviously a lot more that we could consider, but for the sake of this video, these are ones that are very simple to understand, but have a big impact in terms of a person's decision to choose which Brett to put their money in. We would have to say that the winner is the Brett on ETH. And that's for two primary reasons that you can see that the path to more X's or to more multiplies is more probable. We had talked about, going from 30 million to 3 billion is very, very probable. Once again, a $3 billion market cap is more achievable than an $80 billion market cap. And also the narrative right now that the crypto community is highly in favor of is CTO type of projects. So at this current point in time, it looks like the Brett on ETH, wins the battle here. But moving into the future, if any other information comes into light, then I'll be creating another video with those updated information, and maybe this all changes, or maybe it strengthens the Brett on ETH's position moving forward. So once again, none of this stuff is financial information. Always do your own research, and also check out my WAP, and I would love to have you join my Discord. The link is in the description below. Once again, there's a special promo, 30-day free trial. You get access to the entire server. After that, it's only $9.99 a month. And if you found the information in this video helpful, then subscribe, hit the like button, and leave a comment. Let me know, do you like the Brett on ETH better, or do you like the Brett on base, and which one, in your opinion, do you think is going to make you the most money? Until then, I'll see you in the next one.